Hello everyone. Before I get started, I'm just going to light some smudge. Welcome to Wicca 101. This is our first class. I am so excited about it. I'm excited about this group. So before I begin, I like to smudge and make sure that I'm all cleansed and purified and that we can have our sacred space. The other thing that I will always have is a candle going. So that is something that you'll want to consider. And you can even use tea lights. I like to use the emergency candles. I get a 5-pack at the dollar store for about $1.25, and they're the perfect perfect candles. They're also cotton wick, so there's no lead or anything in them. And as we use these candles, you won't want to throw out the bases. We keep those to make things and to use them in our magic. So let me just get the smudge going and purify myself. I'm gonna also get some going to you here. I would smudge the screen. And then the other thing that we're going to do is cast a circle. And the reason why is because we are doing sacred work and it is considered witchcraft, and we want to be protected from the negative energies. We don't want anyone, eavesdropping or anything like that. So I'm excited about this class. This is an amazing journey, and I'm hoping by the end of it, you'll have a full book of shadows. This class is all about working with magic, ceremonies, rituals, and learning how to tap into the energies that will help us in our manifestations. So let's get started. Today is going to be a little bit mostly history. That's quite important so that you understand where Wicca comes from or where witchcraft comes from. And you're going to find that a lot of people, as soon as they hear that you're Wiccan or you're a witch or a heathen or a pagan, they're going to have questions for you. So knowing a little bit about this is pretty important. So let us cast the circle first, and then I'm going to move on to a little bit of the history so that you can hear a little more about it. In this place, the circle's round, we consecrate the sacred ground. With golden light, the space around, all power here contained and bound. From the north, the things that manifest. From the east, the things of mind. From the south, the things that motivate. And water, the west, the soul's refined. And yet no place or time there be between the worlds, our words and we. Ancient ones, come and see, the space is sealed, so mote it be. And when we cast a circle, it is important to call our ancestors, because what you're going to be learning tonight is all ancient. And it doesn't matter what culture you are from, there was paganism in your background and in your culture. And so you and me, we all have ancient roots and connections to this sacred magic. So Wicca is termed pagan witchcraft, and it is considered a modern pagan religion. Scholars of religion categorize it as both a new religious movement and as part of the occultist stream of Western esotericism. Wicca was developed in England during the first half of the 20th century, and it was introduced to the public in 1954 by Gerald Gardner. Now, Gerald Gardner was a retired British civil servant, and he was involved with magic for a long time. He came out in public. He wanted to stand and have a standing for this religion and this way of life. He wanted to fight the modern world. And so for me, I look at Wicca as something that is actually older than that. and I see it as the ancient powers. So Gerald Gardner is someone that you're going to research. He is pretty amazing, and you'll get to see kind of the feel of how he wanted to introduce witchcraft to the world. Before that, it was all underground, all word of mouth, all very secretive because, you know, people's lives were in danger. And still today, it is considered dangerous in a lot of countries. So you'll have to use your own guidance and feelings on what you say or what you call yourself, okay? So Gerald Gardner was the first person that brought it out into the public. And Wicca draws upon a diverse set of ancient pagan and also 20th century Hermetic theological structures and ritual practices. And you're going to be learning a lot of interesting things. Wicca has no central authority figure. Its traditional core beliefs, principles, and practices were originally outlined in the 1940s and 1950s by Gerald Gardner. Now, he had a high priestess, and her name was Doreen Valiente. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. But they both published books and in secret wrote and taught oral teachings that were passed along to all of their students. And we can call students of the craft initiates, okay? So you'll hear that a lot as well. And so when we speak initiates, you know that there are students that are in training. There are many variations of the core structure, and the religion grows and evolves over time. It is divided into a number of lineages, sects, and denominations, and we call these traditions, okay? So Wicca has many different traditions, and a lot of them are, you know, just like Gerald Gardner brought up, his tradition is called Gardnerian. So you're going to learn about different traditions, and you may like one more than the other, or you may be eclectic. I'm more eclectic because I have a lot of different bloodlines, and also I work from a lot of different sources, okay? So that's considered eclectic. So there is different traditions in Wicca, each with its own organizational structure and their level of centralization. So some traditions, collectively referred to as British traditional Wicca, strictly follow the initiation lineage of Gardner and consider the term Wicca to apply only to similar traditions, but not to any newer eclectic traditions. So there is a little bit of a conflicts you'll find, and people claiming different things, and you know, there's a lot of action when this came out. This was something that, you know, changed the world. So Wicca is at worshiping a god and a goddess. And these traditions were viewed as a moon goddess, or these gods and goddesses were viewed as the moon goddess and the horned god. And these deities may be regarded as having many different divine aspects, which can in turn be identified with many diverse pagan deities from different historical pantheons. So let's say we wanted to call upon the goddess in our ritual or spell of love. So we also would join aspects of Athena, or what is another goddess of love? Athena, there's Aphrodite. So you could blend different aspects that you want and part of that magic. And when we use these different energies, we will refer to the goddess as the great goddess because she has more than one aspect, okay? And she is within everything. And also the same for the great horned god. So we would call him the great horned god or the great god. The great represents many other deities and their own natures. So these two deities, the god and the goddess, are sometimes viewed as facets of a greater pantheistic divinity, which is regarded as a force or a process rather than a personal god. So deity means god or goddess, or a god or goddess. Wiccan celebrations encompass both the cycles of the moon, and these are known as esbats or ebats, and commonly they are associated with a goddess and the female energy. And that is, we do full moon ceremonies every month. And it's very sacred for us because that is when we activate and cleanse and align ourselves with our natural female force and the female divinity that we are, and it heightens our power. We also celebrate and practice with the cycle of the sun. And these are seasonally based festivals that are known as Sabbats, okay? And these are commonly associated with the horned god or the male god. So the Beltane is, and this is all when the god and the goddess come into play with each other. So we honor the god energy, and we have that within us. It's our instincts when we know there's something up, and our protection when that beast rises in us when someone crosses us the wrong way. So we like to make sure that we honor that aspect of us, and as that is in every living thing, so that we can survive and so that we can know that we're protected. There's also an unattributed statement known as the Wiccan Rede. And this is a popular expression of Wiccan morality. And although it's not always accepted by all Wiccans, Wicca involves the ritual practice of magic. And so this is a good way to keep yourself aligned, and it's important. So knowing the Wicca Rede, or having it printed off and hanging in your house, or definitely have it in your Book of Shadows. You'll want to have that in there. You will want to get a Book of Shadows for next class. So some kind of journal or a binder. Next class we plan on doing the Book of Shadows blessing. So you'll learn how to do that. And once you do this, you can create more than one Book of Shadows. I have one every year. I start a new one. And it shows me what type of magic I've been doing and where I was in my life and what classes I taught and the things that I learned. So it is a sacred book, and it should definitely be protected. Let's move back into the Wicca class and the history. So scholars of religious studies classify Wicca as a new religion movement, and more specifically as a form of modern paganism. So a pagan is somebody of the land. So I'm Native American, that is pagan. That is a pagan tradition because, we lived in tribes. The Aboriginals of Australia, they are pagans. So pagan actually means person of the land, okay? And paganism is actually cited as the largest, best known, most influential spiritual study, okay? So there is, and it's because every culture comes from a form of ancient paganism. So these are people of the land and people that knew about nature and could understand how it was working, and they knew when they had to harvest and when they needed to plant, and they knew when the changes of the seasons were coming. So a lot of different academics have also categorized Wicca as a form of nature religion, and it's a term that is also embraced by many of its practitioners and as a mystery religion. However, given that Wicca also incorporates the practice of magic, several scholars have referred to it as a magical religion. Wicca is also a form of Western esotericism, and more specifically, a part of the esoteric current known as occultism. So it is considered the occult. And when you tap into your powers and when you're using them, they are considered occult powers. So before I move on, I want to explain. All Wiccans are pagan. We're all pagan. And that's because we are tapping in and connecting to our natural forces and the natural forces of nature. But not all pagans are Wiccan. Okay? And so all Wiccans are pagan, but not all pagans are Wiccan. And that is because Wicca is actually considered, because of its moralities, and it is considered a religion. Okay? So it's been categorized as part of the New Age, although many Wiccans dispute this and they don't like the categorization. We live in modern times. People tend to categorize everything. So, although it is recognized as a religion, some evangelical Christians have attempted to deny its legal recognition. And there's been fights everywhere, and now Wicca is actually a legal religion. So people have fought for that, and they've fought for the rights. Wiccan practitioners themselves favor the term spirituality or way of life. So if someone says, what are you? You can say, I'm Wiccan. And most people understand this is a nature-based religion, it's peaceful and beautiful. Or you can say, I'm a witch. And that depends on who you're talking to and what kind of conversation you want to get started with them. Or you can call yourself spiritual, because it is, and it is the basic connection to true spirituality. You have to have, this connection to the natural forces. So kind of see how you feel and honor yourself. But the term wizard doesn't work, or warlocks, okay? And when people come up to you and say, oh, I'm a warlock, you're going to feel how your protection field reacts to that, okay? So the terms wizard and warlock are generally discouraged in the magic community, okay? In Wicca, denominations are referred to as traditions, okay? While non-Wiccans are often termed Cowans. So in Harry Potter, they started that non-magical people were muggles. Well, Cowans was the traditional word. And what that means is that the person has not been initiated. So anyone that's out there that hasn't been initiated into the circle, or initiated as a witch or a Wiccan, they're termed Cowans or non-believers. Okay, let's get into witchcraft and Wicca. So when Wicca first came into public attention, it was commonly called witchcraft. And Gerald Gardner, the man regarded as the father of Wicca, referred to it as the craft of the wise. So witchcraft and the witch cult actually comes and begins in the 1950s. There's no evidence that he ever called it Wicca, although he did refer to the collective community of pagan witches as the Wicca, with one C, as a name for the religion. Wicca developed in Britain during the 1960s. It is not known who precisely invented the term Wicca in reference to the religion, although one possibility is that it might have been Gardner's rival, Charles Cardell, C-A-R-D-E-L-L. This is also someone that you'll want to research or Google just to get an insight. This was his Gerald Gardner's rival. And he was referring to it as the craft of the Wiccans, okay? So the first recorded use of the word Wicca appears in 1962. And it had been popularized to the extent that several British practitioners founded a newsletter called The Wiccan in 1968. So it wasn't until 1960 when it came into North America. Although pronounced differently, the modern English term Wicca is derived from the Old English Wicca and Wiccae, the masculine and feminine term for witch. So Wicca means male witch and Wiccae means female witch. And because we have both aspects, male and female, within us, then we call ourselves Wiccans. We're honoring both energies, and that puts us also into balance. So the masculine and feminine term for witch is Wiccans, for both symbolically cementing their connection into an ancient pre-Christian past. The word witch and Wicca are therefore linked. So Wiccan, we can call ourselves, but for us, because we're female, we're actually Wiccae. So W-I-C-C-E. In early sources, Wicca referred to the entirety of the religion rather than specific traditions. So ensuing decades, members of certain traditions, those known as British traditional Wicca, began claiming that they should be termed Wiccan, and that other forms of the religion must not use it. So there's a little bit of a battle there, okay? From the late 1980s onward, various books started to get published where Wicca were published, and it was used in a former broader definition. And by the 1980s, there were two competing definitions for the word Wicca, in use among pagan and esoteric communities and in forms of various popular culture, such as television programs, Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Charmed. The word Wicca has been used for witchcraft more generally, including non-religious and non-pagan forms. Alongside Wicca, two other names often used for the religion by its practitioners are witchcraft and the craft. The word witchcraft is in context can result in confusion with negative forms of witchcraft as well as other religions, such as Satanism and Luciferianism. Now, those people who do practice Satanism and Luciferianism are also call themselves witches. So that's why, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, are you evil? Well, that's because Satanists and people that believe in Luciferianism call themselves witches too. So again, you want to be careful who you say that to. But if you say, oh, I practice the craft, people are going to know that it's, you know, the good witchcraft, okay? Another term for Wicca is pagan witchcraft, although there's also other forms of modern paganism, such as heathenry, which also practice magic, and this could be described as pagan witchcraft. So from 1990s onward, various Wiccans began describing themselves as traditional witches. So saying that you are a traditional witch, although this term was also employed by practitioners of other magical religious traditions like Luciferianism. And of course, with every good, there's always a bad trying to get in the way, okay? And that is, you know, what we have to deal with because, you know, people aren't doing their research. So it is good to, you know, I wouldn't delve into Satanism or Luciferianism. Those are beliefs in using mundane spirits, you know, the old murderers and people that are stuck in this realm, they'll use those for power, and they will also use the Christians' deities, so the devil and their demons, as power and their magic. So I don't like negative things. I find that anything negative is mental. I do not believe that it's, true spiritual. It's true spiritual energies and spirits do have amazing abilities. So I look at that as illusionary work. I think if people are going into that type of path, they're looking for power or feeding their ego. And to me, that's untamed ability. And it can be dangerous. So theology, let's go into the theology of Wicca. So there's many theological views within Wicca, and it can be very diverse. Wicca includes pantheists, monotheists, duotheists, and polytheists. Common to all of these perspectives is that Wicca's deities, gods and goddesses, are viewed as forms of ancient, pre-Christian divinities by its practitioner. So for me, I believe I'm all of those. And that's why getting into labels is so difficult, because all of these that I'm going to be explaining to you are also, they're exactly how I see things, but all combined. So pantheists, okay, let's go into that. Pantheists, consciousness, mind, or soul they have a universal feature of all things. So the view of the pantheists is that everything is alive. The view that everything has a soul or spirit. And they believe in philosophical doctrines that identify God with the universe. So for me, I feel like I am part pantheist because I believe every blade of grass has a spirit. I believe everything that lives has a spirit. And I also believe atmosphere has a spirit. And then there's, so for me, I fit into that. Monotheists. Now, monotheists believe in the existence of one God or in the oneness of God or goddess. So it's the existence of one. And I believe in that existence as well. I believe that everything that is female within us and all living things are one. And I believe that our consciousness is all connected to each other. So I believe in that. I believe that the universe, whether it's male or female, is one amazing divinity. So duotheists, they believe in the existence of two deities. So this often refers to the belief in a god and goddess of equal power. So in this case, it's Wicca, okay? So that means that's the two together, okay? Not one is more powerful than the other. Now, I also mentioned polytheists, and they believe in reviving ancient traditional religions that have been damaged or fragmented or even destroyed. And these are, traditions such as Norse paganism or Greek paganism. So it is the belief of many gods and many cultures and the revival of that. So I find that pretty interesting. Most early Wiccan groups were more connected to the duotheistic worship of a horned god, a fertility, and a mother goddess, with practitioners typically believing that these have been the ancient deities worshipped by the hunter-gatherers or the old Stone Age people. And that all of this energy and magic has been passed down in secret right to the present. And there is a universe of secretness that still exists. And that also includes, different groups. So I've kind of come out of the box on that a little bit, but I'm still pretty secretive about certain things. And we do that because we are holders of knowledge. So there's a lot I can share, and then there's lots that I don't share or I can't share. So it has been a lot of this magic that you're going to be learning has been passed down in secret right to the present. This theology derived from the witch cult. The cult has been recorded in early modern witch trials and venerated a whole horned god. Centuries before it, it had also worshipped a mother goddess. So this duotheistic horned god, mother goddess structure was embraced by Gardner, who claimed that it had Stone Age roots and remains the underlying theological basis to his Gardnerian tradition. So Gardner claimed that the names of these deities were to be kept in secret within the tradition, although in 1964 they were publicly revealed to be Cernunnos and Aradia, and that was the names that they gave to the god and the goddess in public form. The secret Gardnerian deity names were subsequently changed. Although different Wiccans attribute different traits to the horned god, he is most often associated with animals and the natural world, but also with the afterlife, and he is furthermore often viewed as an ideal role model for men. The mother goddess has been associated with life, fertility, and springtime, and has been described as an ideal role model for women. Wicca's dualism has been compared to the Dao system of yin and yang. Other Wiccans have adopted the original Gardnerian god-goddess duotheistic structure, but have adopted deity forms other than that of the horned god and mother goddess. For instance, the god had been interpreted as the oak king and the holly king, as well as the sun god, or the lover god, and vegetation god. He has also been seen in the roles of the leader of the wild hunt and the lord of the dead. The goddess is often portrayed as a triple goddess, thereby being a triadic deity comprising of maiden goddess, mother goddess, and a crone, each of whom has different associations, namely virginity, fertility, and wisdom. Other Wiccan conceptualizations have portrayed her as a moon goddess and as a ministrating goddess. In Wicca, the goddess is a symbol of self-transformation, and she is seen to be constantly changing and a force for change for those who have been opening themselves up to her. So in a lot of things that we say, a name of 1,000 or the god of 1,000 names, the goddess of 1,000 names, it's very true. So Gardner stated that beyond Wicca's two deities was the supreme deities, or prime movers, an entity that was too complex for humans to understand. This belief has been endorsed by other prominent practitioners who have referred it as the cosmic logos. So cosmic supreme power. Gardner criticized this, citing the problem of evil. Explicitly, monotheistic forms of Wicca developed in the 1960s, when the US-based Church of Wicca developed a theology rooted in the worship of what they described as one deity without gender. And to me, I would view that as the universal power. In the 1970s, Dianic Wiccan groups developed, which were devoted to a singular goddess. This approach was often criticized by members of the British traditional Wiccan groups who claimed such goddess monotheism as an inverted initiation of Christian theology. So many Wiccans accept the concept of polytheism, thereby believing that there are many different deities. Some accept the view that all gods are one and all goddesses are one goddess. That is that the gods and the goddess of all cultures are respectively aspects of one supernatural god and goddess. With this mindset, a Wiccan may regard the Hindu Kali, the Virgin Mary, each as a manifestation of one supreme goddess, and likewise the Celtic Cernunnos, the ancient Greek Dionysus, as are aspects of a singular archetype god. Now, if you've seen the Miss of Avalon movie or read it, you would see how they portrayed the goddess and turning into the modern form as the Mother Mary. A more strictly polytheistic approach holds the various goddesses and gods to be separate and distinct entities in their own right. The other people you're going to be hearing about in this class is the Wiccan writers, Janet Farrar and Gavin Bone, and they're the ones that wrote the Witch's Bible. So we're going to get into a little bit of that. It's pretty interesting, but they believe that Wiccans conceive deities not as literal personalities, but as metaphorical archetypes or thought forms, thereby technically allowing them to be atheists. Such a view was purported by the high priestess, Vivian Crowley herself, a psychologist, who considered the Wiccan deities to be archetypes that existed within the subconscious and that could be invoked in ritual. It was for this reason that she said that the goddess and God manifest to us in dream and vision. Wiccan also often believe that the gods are not perfect and can be argued with. Many Wiccans also adopt a more animalistic worldview of the universe as being replete with spirit beings. In many cases, these spirits are associated with the natural world. For instance, there's genius loci, fairies, elementals, and in other cases, such beliefs are more idiosyncratic, and the prominent Wiccan Symbolique endorsed the belief of angels into Wicca. So you'll also want to look up Janet Farrar, Gavin Bone, and Symbolique. We do believe in the afterlife, but it varies among people, of course. We don't occupy a central space within the belief system, but believing in the actual life is the instinctual position of most Wiccans, and it seems to be that one makes the most of the present life in all respects, then the next life is more and less certainly going to benefit from the process. And so they believe on a concentrate of the present, okay? So they believe that, we believe that while we're working and doing the best we can, we're also preparing ourselves for next life, okay? And the better we are, the better the next life. The more connected we are, the more connected to the next life. There's a common belief among Wiccans that human beings have a spirit or soul that survives bodily death. Understandings of what the soul contributes among different traditions. With fairy Wicca, for instance, they adopted a belief from the Hawaiian religion that the human being has 3 souls. So although these things are not accepted by all Wiccans, a belief in reincarnation is the dominant afterlife belief within Wicca. We understand how the cycle of reincarnation operates among other practitioners. There's also Raymond Buckland. He was a prominent Wiccan, and his connection insisted that the human souls would only incarnate to human bodies, whereas other Wiccans believed that a human soul can incarnate into any form. So that is your freedom to believe and to experience through your connections to spirit. So there isn't a set thing, but we do know that, you know, we believe there is spirit everywhere. Let's go into a little bit of the magic, and I'm almost finished here. So we believe in magic. We believe in forces that we can exercise through the practice of our magic. We believe in the powers of nature and how to connect with it. We believe in white magic. Okay, and we believe in positive magic. We believe we're conduits of magic, and that if we want it in our world, so does others. So we pass that energy into the world. We believe that our powerful white magic cleanses the earth and changes the consciousness. And we believe that when we come together, performing magic with each other, we can pretty much, create anything. So magic is everything in Wicca. And a lot of people will also call, you'll see that magic is spelled with a K. Well, that is a variation that was coincided by the occultist Aleister Crowley. And he started using it with a K to associate it with his Thelema magic. So the Thelema, which is also used in Wicca at times, that was his deal. So magic actually came from Aleister Crowley, the magic with the K. You can spell it any way you want. I just do normal. So during ritual practice, we usually do it in a sacred circle, and we cast spells or workings intended to bring about real change in our physical world. So a lot of our spells will include spells for healing, protection, fertility, to banish negative influences, create the life that we want, find our wholeness. So we refer to it as our own magic as white magic. Okay, so when I'm doing magic in my life for the things that I want, it's considered white magic. Black magic is associated with evil energies. And so there is some terms. The left-hand path you'll hear or see in books, that represents dark magic. So anything that is malevolent, or there things that, people doing dark magic on each other, that is left-hand path. The right-hand path represents good intentions. Okay, left-hand path is bad intentions. Right-hand path is good intentions. And this term actually originated with the occultist, Madame Blavatsky. And her name is spelled Blavatsky. And she is one of my favorite women. So definitely look her up. You're going to see some amazing information about her. The other person I want you to look up is Mother Shipton, because Mother Shipton is the woman that actually created the whole ugly witch thing with the wart on the nose. Okay, so look up Mother Shipton, Shipton. She actually lived in a cave. So it's pretty cool. Her cave was petrified water that fell over it, and it would turn, and still does turn, things into stone. Now it's a park. People will actually send things in to get it turned into stone. So it's kind of neat. There's even 2 wedding hats that was on there. A man and woman, after they got married, went and threw them down the waterfall, and voila, they're still there. You can see the hats that's turned to stone. It's pretty cool. Okay, I am going to get into the Wiccan law, or the Wiccan read. I wanted to make sure that you could hear that in this class. So I want you to listen to it, and then we will go over the meanings of it. So the Wiccan read, or it's also called the Read of Wicca. Bide the Wiccan law you must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Live and let live, fairly take and fairly give. Cast the circle thrice about, to keep all evil spirits out. To bind the spell well every time, let thy spell be spoke in rhyme. Soft of eye and light of touch, speak little and listen much. Docile go by the waxing moon, Sing and dance the witches' rune. Widdershins go when the moon does wane, chanting out the baleful tune. When the lady's moon is new, kiss thy hand to her times two. When the moon rides at her peak, then your heart's desire speaks. Heed the north wind's mighty gale, lock the door and drop the sail. When the wind comes from the south, love will kiss thee on the mouth. When the wind blows from the west, departed souls will have no rest. When the wind blows from the east, expect the new and set the feast. 9 woods in the cauldron go, burn them fast and burn them slow. Elder be the lady's tree, burn it not, or curse you'll be. When the wheel begins a turn, let the Beltane fires burn. When the wheel has turned to Yule, light the log, the horned god rules. Heed ye flower, bush, and tree, and by the lady blessed be. Where the rippling's waters flow, cast a stone, and truth you'll know. Whenever ye have a need, hearken not to others' greed. With a fool no season spend, nor be counted as his friend. Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. Mind the threefold law ye should, 3 times bad or 3 times good. When misfortune is enow, wear the blue star on your brow. Trust and love ever be, unless thy love is false to thee. 8 words the Wiccan Rede fulfills, and it harm none, do what ye will. So this is a great inspiration and guideline to practice magic, and I'm excited to take you further into it. So when we first said, bide the Wiccan law you must in perfect love and perfect trust, that means that we should be living according to the natural laws with an attitude of perfect love and perfect trust. This means that we trust the process, okay? Perfect love and perfect trust are the passwords to the first initiation ritual. So when you have your first initiation, you will be asked a question. Most likely, how do you enter the circle? You would want to say perfect love and perfect trust, right? With perfect love and perfect trust. So that is a password. Live and let live, fairly take and fairly give. So with that, we believe we respect people. We let them live their life the way they want. We are there if they need us, but we respect people in nature, and we treat them as we want to be treated. We stay balanced, and we also do not believe in over-sacrificing ourselves or expecting others to do it for you. All relationships should be equally giving and receiving. In the full moon ceremonies, we often say, give to receive, receive to give, when we're giving our offerings of drink and food. And this is in alignment with ourself, our relationships, and even our connection to Mother Earth and the universe. Cast a circle thrice about to keep all evil spirits out. So we worship in a sacred circle. We cast it 3 times to create power. It's a magical number. It symbolizes 3 aspects of the goddess, the mother, maiden, and crone. And we also believe in the 3 phases of the moon, the waxing, waning, and full. And you'll notice that we didn't say new moon in that, and that's going to come on later on. But it's to keep all unwelcome spirits, energies, and frequencies out of us, and also our magical work. To bind the spell well every time, let thy spell be spoken rhyme. So we create spells and rhymes because it creates something beautiful, but it's also because there's a frequency that is created by the rhythm and the words of our voice. It allows our conscious mind to focus, while allowing for our subconscious mind to tap into our power, connect, and work magic with the higher forces of existence. It also makes us connect on a way where we can find the rhymes that are helping us to manifest our spells. And when we search for rhyming words, it opens up our clairaudient abilities. So our psychic hearing will begin to hear guidance to help us put it together. It's always positive and takes us to the next level with guidance to achieve things in an easier way because it's divinely connected to us. So if you want to listen more, communicate with more spirit, then write and write in rhyme. And this gift used to be called soothsaying. So Mother Shipton, the woman that I told you to Google, she was a soothsayer. So her prophecies came in rhyme. Soft of eye and light of touch, listen, speak little and listen much. So if you've ever spoken or had the privilege to sit with an elder, you would notice that they do not talk. They don't really have conversation, but they will answer questions. And when you do speak, they always will send a wisdom to what you have said. So this is the same concept. Be gentle in our life and live. Sit back and listen rather than talk. When you do speak, speak with care and thought. Know that the universe will support what you're saying if it's true, and serving the consciousness positively. So try to be a blessing in every interaction. Doso go by the waxing moon, sing and dance the witch's rune. So doso means clockwise. And when we do our full moons, we do our magic clockwise circle because it is a generator of power and it brings us good fortune. So clockwise builds energy. Our lives are connected to the clock, so it's easy for us to consciously connect with it and create it. And it's easy to imagine. Widdershins means counterclockwise. So when you hear widdershins go, when the moon shall wane, chanting out the baleful tune, that means that magic is done in a clockwise. It goes by the waning moon. So when we do magic during the waning moon, it's all releasing magic. It's getting rid of those things that we need to release or things that we don't like or the things that make us suffer. So we refer it to the werewolf's howl by the dread wolf's bane. If we hear a wolf's howl, we know to perform the releasing ritual. We'll walk counterclockwise to banish negativity. I am going to stop here and we'll go into the rest of it next class and finish this off, the meaning of it. And until then, what I want you to do is find a book of shadows that you can start. We're going to do that next class. We're also going to do like the book of shadow blessing. And we're going to get into more of these things that we're going to practice. I want to be doing a lot of magic that you can put in your book. So once we have that blessed, we can have spell work going into that. And by the end of the class, you'll have an entire book of shadows. This class is for you, but it's also for you to have a whole system. A whole year and a day of magic is going to give you an amazing encyclopedia of work you can do with anything in your life. So I also want you to put together things that you would like to do for magic, different things that you want to attain. Think about what you want to do magic for and put your lists together of spells, the topics, whatever, and we'll go through them. Up until next week, I want you to look up these names: Gerald Gardner, Doreen Valentine, Aleister Crowley, Raymond Buckland, Sybil Leek, Scott Cunningham, Alex Sanders, the Minoan Brotherhood, Madame Blavatsky, and Mother Shipton. And I will post that also on our chat page. And I'm really excited about this. I want you to look at our group here as a coven, because we will be practicing like a coven, and we're probably going to have pretty amazing bonds by the end of this class. Okay, so I'm excited about that. We will also be going into altar and the tools that you'll need. So you'll want to put together an altar, and we'll do that next class and get you started. So I'm pretty excited. I'll get this ready. The other thing I'm going to do is send you the witch's alphabet, and that is also known as the Theban alphabet. And we use this alphabet to write in our Book of Shadows, or when we're writing spells or rituals, just so that nothing can be seen unless they know the alphabet. So I'm going to put that as well on there so that you can start learning the alphabet. It will take some time to study it. You will want to write your name on a piece of paper in the alphabet so that you have protection on you, and slip that in your purse or wallet, and you'll get to see how that feels. Okay, so I'll put that in, and that will be something that you'll want to enter into your Book of Shadows as well. But leaving here today, I want you to know that Wicca is a very peaceful, harmonious, and balanced way of life, which promotes oneness with the divine and all that all that exists. It's a deep appreciation and awe in watching the sunrise and the sunset, the forest and the light of the glowing moon. You know, it's looking at all those beautiful things. It's the morning dew on the petals of a flower. Wicca is everything in nature, and it's a presence of Mother Earth and being humbled in reverence. It's when we are the Lord and the Lady, when we are connecting to our magical side and with her. So to be a witch is to be a healer. It's a teacher, a seeker, a giver. It's a protector of all things. So I feel that this path is for you, and that you will walk it with honor, with your light, and with integrity. Okay, I'm excited to share this with you, and we will see you next time. So I'll get this going and send you the audio of it. Every class you will get the audio, and it usually takes 1 to 2 days because I'm not on FiberUp. I don't know what kind of system it is, but it takes me about 8 hours to do a 2-hour session to upload and do the video editing, and I'm still learning about it. Could just be my computer. But before we go, let's open the circle. And the reason why we say open is because when we open the circle, all the energies and the magic that we've created are released out into the world. So when we're practicing our magic and our spells, we open up the circle, then that magic is now in the air, ready to form its function and come back to us with what we asked for, or what we've practiced, or what we're trying to manifest. So let's open the circle, and we will see you next class. The next class will be on the 3rd, same time, 9 o'clock. We also will want to try to make the full moon ceremonies, because this is a year and a day and a journey. Each one of those full moon energies does have a lot to do with the manifestation cycle that you're walking in. So thank you for joining me. I'm excited about working with you through this time and help you create the life that you want, the magical person that you are, bringing out your abilities. Once you know what works, you'll always use them. It's like a toolbox. So blessings to you. Let's open the circle. And we open the circle counterclockwise once. The circle is open but never unbroken. Merry we meet, merry we part, until we meet again with love in our hearts. So mote it be. And I like to stomp the foot just like in Sacred Circle, kiss it with, seal it with a kiss. We're sealing it with love. We stomp the circle because we're cleansing the earth so that nothing negative can come and sniff out our magic or sniff ourselves out. So we do it to, you know, let the earth go back to its place, cleaning up all the psychic energies that, you know, could be there. So blessings to you. Talk to you soon. Have a great night. Light a candle or look at your candles. Make sure you have an aura. If you see an aura around your candle flame, magic was around. Talk soon. Bye-bye. Blessings.